After years of silence and heartbreak, something stirs again in the Heartland Valley. The wine carries a name long forgotten, Ty Borden. For years, Amy Fleming believed her story with Ty had ended, a love once stronger than the prairies themselves, now only a memory in the gentle rhythm of the ranch. But life has a way of writing stories we never expect. This time, it begins not with an ending, but with a whisper, a shadow on the horizon, and a return that no one saw coming. The morning sun rises over the Heartland Ranch, painting the sky with soft shades of orange and gold. Horses move quietly in the fields, and the sound of hooves against the dirt fills the air. Everything looks peaceful, but Amy's heart feels heavier than ever. It has been years since Ty's passing, yet every morning she still feels his presence in the cold wind that passes through the barn doors. Life has continued. She smiles, she works, she raises her daughter Lyndy, but deep inside, a small part of her still waits for something she cannot explain. Amy has learned to be strong. She spends her days training horses and helping others heal through the same bond she once shared with Ty. The ranch, though full of laughter and family, carries a quiet sadness. Jack still looks at her sometimes with worrying, knowing that strength doesn't mean peace. Lou visits often, trying to remind Amy that she deserves happiness again. But Amy knows happiness isn't something you choose. Sometimes it chooses you. And lately, she feels as if something is calling out to her again. One evening, as the sun fades and the sky turns pink, Amy finds herself walking by the old paddock where Ty used to work. The wooden fence creaks softly in the wind. The place hasn't changed, but she feels something different, a strange comfort mixed with unease. Her fingers trace the wood, and memories flood back. Ty's laugh, his calm voice, the way he looked at her after every long day. She takes a deep breath, trying to let it go. But then she hears it, the sound of a horse neighing in the distance, followed by a deep voice, gentle yet firm, saying her name. She freezes. For a moment, she thinks it's her mind playing tricks again. The past often sneaks up on her when she's alone. But this feels different. The air feels heavier, the moment more real. Amy turns around quickly, her heart racing, but no one's there. Only the fading light, the soft rustle of leaves, and the echo of that voice in her ears. Amy, that night, Amy can't sleep. The voice repeats in her mind over and over again. She looks through old photographs, her and Ty, their wedding, Lyndy as a baby in his arms. Each picture feels like a piece of a puzzle that doesn't fit anymore. She whispers to herself, "It's just a memory, that's all." But deep down, she knows something's changed. Something is coming. The next morning, Lyndy runs into the kitchen holding a drawing. "Mom," she says, smiling brightly, "I dreamt about Daddy. He was here last night, fixing the barn with Grandpa." Amy feels a chill crawl up her spine. Lyndy's dreams have always been innocent, but this one feels too close to the truth. Amy forces a smile and hugs her daughter tightly. "That's a lovely dream, sweetheart," she says softly, though her mind races. The barn, the voice, the feeling. Could it be just coincidence? Or something more? Later that day, Amy decides to visit Ty's old workspace. It's quiet there, untouched for years. His tools still hang neatly on the wall, covered in a thin layer of dust. She brushes them gently, feeling the weight of time pressing against her heart. Then she notices something strange, a small, folded note tucked beneath one of the shelves. It's worn, yellowed, almost forgotten. Her hands tremble as she unfolds it. The handwriting is familiar. "If you're reading this," it says, "then I couldn't tell you in person. But know that I'll always find my way back home to you." Amy drops the note, her eyes wide. Her breath catches in her throat. It's impossible. He wrote this years ago, but she's never seen it before. Why now? Why here? The air feels thick, charged, like the calm before a storm. She walks out into the open field, her heart pounding. The sky above the Heartland Ranch seems to darken slightly, clouds rolling in from the west. The wind picks up again, swirling around her. And for just a second, she swears she sees a figure by the edge of the trees, tall, familiar. Standing still, Her heart skips a beat. Then he turns, and even though she can't see his face clearly, she knows that Ty Borden has returned. The morning after that haunting sight, the air around Heartland feels heavier, like the world is holding its breath. The ranch is quiet, but Amy's thoughts are louder than ever. The letter, the voice, the shadow in the distance, none of it makes sense. She tells herself it's grief, that her mind is creating ghosts out of memories. But deep down, her heart whispers otherwise. Something about that figure felt too real, too familiar, like the rhythm of a heartbeat she's known her whole life. As she saddles Borden, Amy's hands tremble slightly. She tries to focus on the usual chores, feeding the horses, checking fences, training a new colt. But every creak of wood and every gust of wind feels like a sign. At breakfast, Jack watches her closely. "You didn't sleep last night," he says softly. Amy avoids his eyes, busying herself with coffee. "Just thinking," she murmurs. But Jack knows better. He's seen that look before, the same look Marion once had when she felt something beyond understanding. By afternoon, Amy decides she needs answers. She rides toward the western ridge, the same place he thought she saw the figure. The grass moves like waves, the wind cold and sharp. The world feels alive, as if the land itself remembers. She stops near the fence, dismounts, and stands still. There's nothing, just silence and the distant sound of crows. But then, in the dirt, she notices footprints, deep, fresh, human. Her chest tightens. Someone has been here. She follows them slowly, each step echoing in her mind. The prints lead toward the old trail that Ty used to take when he needed time to think. Amy remembers how he'd disappear for hours and come back calmer, grounded. She never followed before, always trusted his silence. But now, she feels drawn forward. As she walks, fragments of memory surface, Ty's laughter, his steady hands, the way he'd whisper, "We'll always find each other." No matter what, the words sting now, both a promise and a curse. She reaches the river bank, the same place where they once talked about their future, about growing old together. Everything looks the same, the water glimmering under sunlight, the tall trees swaying gently, yet the feeling is different. She senses him here. Suddenly, she spots something glinting near the rocks. Kneeling down, she finds a silver chain half buried in the dirt. Her breath catches. It's Ty's necklace, the same one he wore every day since their wedding, the one she buried with him. Her fingers close around it, cold metal pressing against her skin. The world spins for a moment. "This isn't possible," she whispers. Back at the ranch, Amy can't hide her confusion. Lou drops by in the evening and immediately notices something's off. Amy shows her the chain, her voice shaking. Lou stares, speechless. "You buried that with him," she says slowly. "I saw you do it." Amy nods, her eyes glassy. "Then how is it here?" Neither of them has an answer. They sit in silence, the room thick with disbelief. That night, another strange thing happens. The motion sensor light outside the barn flickers on. Amy looks through the window and sees the stable doors swinging open slightly. She grabs her coat and flashlight and walks out, heart pounding. The night is still, the moon high above. Inside the barn, everything seems normal until she notices one of the stalls is open. Spartan stands quietly, his ears pointed forward, as if listening to something unseen. Then, faintly, Amy hears it again, the same soft, deep voice. Amy, this time, it's closer. Her flashlight shakes as she turns toward the sound. "Who's there?" she calls, her voice breaking. No reply. Just the faint scent of pine and dust, the same smell that always clung to Ty's jacket. She closes her eyes, tears burning. If this is some kind of dream, "Please don't end it yet," she whispers. When she opens them again, she notices a small photograph pinned to the barn wall. It wasn't there before. She steps closer and gasps. It's a picture of her, Ty, and Lyndy taken the week before everything changed. On the back, in Ty's handwriting, are 5 words. "I told you I'd return." Amy stumbles back, clutching the photo. Her heart beats faster than ever. This is no dream. Someone or something is trying to reach her. She runs outside, her flashlight cutting through the darkness. At the far end of the pasture, she sees movement again. A silhouette, tall and still, standing near the old fence. Ty. The word escapes her lips like a prayer. The figure doesn't move, doesn't answer, but the feeling that fills her chest, the warmth, the familiarity, it's him. She takes a hesitant step forward, but then the light flickers and the figure fades into the mist. Amy falls to her knees, breath trembling. "You're real. You're really here," she whispers. The night wind carries her words into the distance, and somewhere beyond the horizon, a horse neighs, a sound that feels like a response as dawn breaks. Amy stands by the fence again, the necklace clutched in her hand. She doesn't know how or why, but she knows one thing for certain: Ty Borden is not gone. He's out there somewhere waiting for her to find him, waiting for their story to begin again. And this time, Heartland will never be the same. The next few days at Heartland pass like a blur. The sun rises and sets, the horses graze, and life moves on as it always has. Yet Amy feels trapped between two worlds. One is the world everyone sees, the quiet, hardworking mother and trainer. The other is something deeper, hidden, something only she feels, the pulse of a memory that refuses to fade. Ty's voice echoes in her dreams now, soft but certain, like the wind whispering through the aspens. Each night she wakes up calling his name, and each morning she finds another small sign that he's near. At first, she tells herself it's her mind playing tricks, born from missing him too much. But when Lyndy starts speaking of her daddy dreams again, Amy feels a chill she can't explain. Her daughter describes things she couldn't possibly know. Ty fixing the fence, the smell of his leather jacket, the words he said, "Tell your mom I'm coming home." Amy listens, frozen, tears welling in her eyes. It's too precise, too vivid. A child's imagination shouldn't feel this real. That afternoon, Amy goes riding alone. She takes Spartan up the old North Trail, the same path she and Ty once used for early morning rides. The wind feels colder today, the sky stretched wide and endless. Halfway up the ridge, she stops. Her gaze drifts toward the valley below, the fields glowing gold under the sun, the small cabin by the creek, and the mountains standing silent and steady. This is their home, their story written into every tree and stone. But now, that story feels unfinished. She dismounts and sits on the grass, watching the horizon. The memory of Ty's laughter fills her ears. How many times did they sit just like this, sharing dreams about their future, promising each other forever? The pain hits her suddenly, like a wave. "Why did you leave?" she whispers. The wind answers with a gentle sigh, carrying the scent of pine and dust, his scent. Amy doesn't know how long she sits there before something catches her eye, a flicker of light near the cabin. It's faint but distinct, like the glint of glass in sunlight. She hesitates for a moment, then follows the trail down. Her boots crunch softly against the dry leaves. The cabin door creaks as she opens it. It's been abandoned for years, but inside, everything feels strangely untouched. Dust lies thick on the furniture, but there's a faint warmth in the air, like someone had just been there. On the old wooden table, she finds a leather journal. Her heart skips. The cover bears Ty's initials. Her hands tremble as she opens it. The first few pages are blank, but deeper in, there's writing, his handwriting, no doubt about it. The ink looks faded, but the words are clear. "If anything ever happens to me, don't let fear keep you from listening to your heart. I'll find a way back." Love doesn't end. It changes shape. Amy clutches the book to her chest, tears falling freely now. Every doubt, every ache, every sleepless night, it all leads to this. She flips through more pages, finding notes about horses, sketches of Lyndy, and short letters never sent. The final entry stops her cold. "If you ever come back here, look by the creek." That's where our story begins again. Her pulse quickens. She rushes outside, running toward the creek, the journal still in her hand. The water glimmers in the light, soft and clear. Then she sees it, a small wooden box buried halfway in the mud near the bank. She kneels and digs it out carefully. Inside, there's a folded photograph and a tiny silver heart pendant. The photo is old Ty and Amy standing by Spartan, smiling at each other the way only they could. On the back of the pendant, engraved words read, "For every sunset we missed, Amy's breath catches." The wine picks up again, stronger this time, swirling leaves around her feet. The trees seem to whisper, and for a brief moment, she feels a hand brushed against her shoulder, gentle, familiar. She turns quickly, heart pounding, but no one's there. Still, the feeling lingers, warmth, comfort, the kind of peace she hasn't felt in years. That evening, as the sun sets, Amy sits on the porch, the pendant around her neck. Jack joins her quietly, handing her a cup of tea. "You've been quiet lately," he says softly. Amy looks out over the ranch, her eyes distant. "Do you ever feel like some things don't really end?" Jack smiles faintly. "Not the important ones." She nods slowly. "I think he's trying to tell me something," she says finally. Jack doesn't question her. He simply nods again. "Then maybe it's time you listen." That night, Amy dreams again. But this dream feels different, clearer, brighter. She sees Ty standing in the pasture under the stars, wearing that same calm smile she's missed for so long. He looks at her and says, "You found the journal. Now find me." The next morning, she wakes up with a strange certainty. This isn't just her imagination anymore. There's something waiting for her to uncover, something real. She looks out the window, and for the first time in years, she doesn't feel lost. Instead, she feels pulled toward the truth, toward the mystery, toward the love that refuses to fade. Ty Borden is out there, and Amy Fleming is ready to find him. The sky above Heartland stretches wide and endless, painted with clouds that move like whispers of fate. A soft wind brushes across the fields, carrying the scent of rain and something else, something familiar, something that feels like home. Amy stands by the creek where Ty's final note had led her. The same place where their story began, and now where it might begin again. Her heart beats fast, not from fear, but from a strange, trembling hope that days have passed since she found Ty's journal. But the feeling hasn't left her. If anything, it's grown stronger, like the land itself is trying to speak to her. Each sunrise feels like a promise. Each sound of hoofbeats a reminder that he's near. Lyndy's dreams have become more vivid too. "Daddy said you'll see him soon," she tells Amy one morning, with that innocent certainty only a child can have. Amy smiles through the ache. "Maybe I will, sweetheart. Maybe I will." That afternoon, storm clouds gather above the ranch. The air is thick, the kind of stillness that comes before something big. Amy saddles Spartan and rides toward the far pasture, drawn by instinct more than reason. The wind howls through the trees, and the first drops of rain begin to fall. As she reaches the ridge, lightning flashes across the sky, and for a heartbeat, she sees a figure standing in the distance, tall, broad-shouldered, motionless. Her breath catches. She urges Spartan forward, heart pounding, the rain soaking through her jacket. "Ty," she calls out, her voice breaking against the wind. But the figure doesn't move. She rides faster, hoofs splashing through the mud, until she's close enough to see his face. And then, time seems to stop. It's him. Ty Borden. Older, a little thinner, eyes deeper, but it's him. The same calm smile, the same steady presence that has lived in her memories for years. Amy can't move, can't breathe. For a moment, she's terrified that if she blinks, he'll vanish again. Another trick of grief and longing. But then he steps forward, slowly, his eyes locked on hers. "Amy," he says softly, his voice rough, real. "It's me." The world falls silent. The wind dies down. Even the rain seems to pause. Amy dismounts, her knees weak. "It can't be," she whispers, shaking her head. "You're gone." But he takes another step, close enough now that she can see the small scar near his jaw, the one she used to trace with her fingertips. "I was supposed to be," he says quietly. But life had other plans. Tears stream down her face as she reaches out, hesitating just before touching him. how she breathes. Ty's eyes glisten as he answers. It's a long story, one I've been waiting years to tell you. But first, I had to make sure you were ready to hear it. Amy's hand finally meets his, warm and solid. The moment their skin touches, the weight of years between them dissolves. All the pain, all the longing, all the unanswered questions melt away. She breaks down, sobbing into his chest as he holds her close. "You're real," she cries. "You're really here." He nods, whispering, "Always was. Always will be." They stand there for a long time, two souls reunited beneath the pouring rain. When the storm finally eases, they walk back toward the cabin by the creek, their place, their beginning. Inside, Ty tells her everything, how he'd survived, how circumstances had forced him to disappear for reasons beyond his control, and how every single day he tried to find a way back home. His voice trembles as he speaks, but his eyes never leave hers. "The only thing that kept me alive," he says, "was the thought of you and Lyndy. I knew one day, somehow, I'd come back." Amy listens, tears still falling, but this time they're mixed with laughter, relief, disbelief, and gratitude all at once. "You came back," she says softly, as if still needing to hear it aloud. Ty smiles. "I told you I would." The next morning, the sun rises over Heartland like a new promise. The light spills across the fields, touching every corner of the ranch, every memory. Jack watches from the porch as Amy and Ty walk out of the barn together, hand in hand, as if time itself had bent to bring them home. Lou, upon seeing him, is frozen in shock before tears flood her eyes. She doesn't ask how, she just hugs him, as if afraid he'll vanish again. Later, Amy and Ty sit by the fence, watching Lyndy play in the grass. "She's grown so much," Ty says quietly. Amy nods. "She dreams about you." Says you visit her. Ty smiles faintly. "Guess I couldn't stay away."